Welcome back to the Market Chef, County Supplies. Chef Ryan, thank you for coming down today.
You're welcome, it's great to be back.
Thank you, Chef. What we've got for you today, Ryan, it's one of my favourite times of the year, Jersey potatoes in season, mid-March to round about the end of July. These are a real summer treat, Chef.
Do you know what, not just a treat for the summer, but a treat for everybody getting to enjoy them as well. I mean, look at the dirt on those, excellent.
These, Ryan, if you didn't know already, come in 3 different sizes. Not a lot of chefs know this. You get the chats, which are a very, very small potato. You get your mids and you get your royal, Chef.
Didn't know what a chat was, so lots to learn there. These ones?
Your royals.
And those ones?
Your mids.
Kind of knew that, just pretend I did.
You would have got sacked if you didn't know that, Chef. Anyway, these here, Ryan, hand sewn, hand picked 12 weeks later. They don't get much more hands on than this when it comes to a proper farmer growing his product.
They look amazing.
They are, Chef. So Ryan, you didn't know about chats in Jersey. What do you know about these beautiful potatoes we have here?
What I do know is they look absolutely stunning, and every year, not just me personally, but chefs, we get really excited about this. One thing I do know about them is that the flavour is like no other potato. There's a couple of potatoes that are close, but none of them quite come to this. And I think that's down to the environment. I think it's down to how they're grown. I think that's the origin of where they come from, the soil. And did you know that apparently the sustainability behind these is great for one natural reason? Jersey's surrounded by the ocean, so that apparently they take the seaweed, dry it, and regenerate it into the soil, therefore not bringing any third-party fertilisers onto the island.
Amazing, Chef. And did you know that Jersey potatoes have origin status the same as champagne, parma ham and camembert?
So to get this right, you've brought champagne.
No champagne for you today, Chef. You're working. So before we get to work, what are you going to cook up for us here today, Ryan?
Well, it's good that you mentioned champagne, because I've got a beautiful dish that we're going to keep really, really kind of like personal with the ingredients. So we've got some Jersey gold top creme fraiche. We've got the potatoes, which we're going to cook like from the island, and the seaweed introduction. We're going to cook it in ocean-like water, something I was taught by a very highly regarded Michelin chef. We're going to cook it in that water. We're going to serve it with some caviar, English caviar, Exmoor, so Cornish salted,
wow,
with some chives and a nice little potato velouté made with none other than English sparkling wine. So a testament to this great ingredient with some other great partners coming from the beautiful place that we call home.
Sounds very posh, Chef. Let's get cooking.
Today in the kitchen here with Market Chef, County Supplies, we have got an incredible array of ingredients, so special. The excitement in me is boiling over. We've got, I mean, look at that almost speechless. Where do I start? I'll start with the main culprit. We've got the Jersey rolls in the mid form here. Perfect little mouthfuls of delicious, earthy, new season potatoes waiting to be devoured. We've got a really great dish today that we're going to include some English herbs in the format of chive and dill, gold top creme fraiche, English smoked salt, garlic, some beautiful caviar here from Exmoor Caviar, some Cornish salted caviar we're going to use, some Jersey butter, English sparkling wine of course, and it looks like a party that I would like to be at. So I think we should get cooking. The dish that we're going to celebrate is Jersey Royals with a potato and English sparkling wine velouté, some chives, some dill, a nice little herb oil with some delicious caviar to finish. So let's get cooking. Firstly, we want to look at the 2 bases that we've got. Cooking the potatoes, the importance with cooking those potatoes. You know, a supreme product like, you know, other treasures like the asparagus, English strawberries, etc. The Jersey roll, you just need to know how to cook it. So we've got some lovely potatoes here. Probably get a nice little selection. I'm looking for this dish about 3 per portion. So let's go 2 portions, 3 portions. Let's go 4 portions. I like the look of that one. Very selective chefs we are. So we want to pop those into some water. Now, really interesting. Anything that grows under the ground, as a true guideline with chefs, anything under the ground, you start from cold water and you bring up to the boil. The reason? Because it's dense and it's unweathered. So if you bring it up slowly, it'll cook evenly. If you bring it up from hot water, the outside will go to mush before the inside's cooked. So we've got about 1.5 litres of water here, just plain water. Now, a Michelin star chef a couple of years ago called Philip Howard Spent a lot of time working with me, and his charisma and the way he spoke about ingredients was incredible. And with Jersey rolls, he said you must cook these incredible delicious potatoes in ocean-like water. What's ocean-like water? Quite a lot of salt in the water. I've got a couple of tablespoons there, a litre of water, and the reason for that is a potato, like lots of vegetables, is porous. So when you cook it, you think, well, I'm cooking it in water, it's going to retain its moisture. That's not correct on a science platform. You're going to cook it, and as you heat it, it will lose a certain amount of water, and it's cooking in water. So its environment, if salty, will absorb into the potato and perfectly season that potato, as opposed to the English way of just seasoning at the end. Don't worry, I'll clean it up later. But the fact is, you have no control over throwing salt over your food on a plate, hence why good restaurants don't serve salt on the table, because you've had experts cooking, like we're doing today with the potatoes. So we'll turn those on. I'm going to bring them up to the boil. Ocean-like water. What does ocean-like water taste like? Been to the seaside before? Yeah, like that. So if you've tasted seawater, you know, you just want a really nice salty water. And again, don't be scared that you're going to be taking too much salt in. You'll actually take in less by having more control over the salt. So the second thing we're going to do is we're going to make our potato velouté. So we want to start by heating a medium saucepan, medium setting, and we're going to start with a couple of simple ingredients. So shallot, for example, and essentially we're making a very creamy, very unctuous, very delicious potato puree. So for that, we want to go 2 shallots as the base. And we're going to just take the skins off those. Now the thing is about these ingredients today, I mean, my kind of eating as well, and the flavour that we're going to get is a balance between umami, naturally coming from the soil, kind of salt. The seaweed that fertilises the potatoes would be umami, classic, cape, wakame, etc. They churn that into the soil in the growing process, and you're going to get that earthiness that chefs and everybody that's had Jersey roll, you get that nice sweet earthiness. And then we're going to play those flavours out with some different kind of salts. Salt in the caviar, the savouriness in the herbaceous kind of oil that we've got from the dill and chive, a little bit of sweetness. And to balance that saltiness, we're going to use the dry, tangy fruit of the wine. So let's chop those shallots up. Let's pop those in a pan. Sizzle, sizzle, my favourite sound, means we're moving. So this recipe for maybe 2 to 4 people calls for 2 shallots, a nice hunk of Jersey butter. Why Jersey butter? Well, we've got Jersey royals, why not? Okay, so the shallots go in, we've got the Jersey butter in there. Why Jersey butter? Well, it's just raw, it's got a zing, it's got a richness from the grass, and the vitality of the whole of Jersey is rich. The pastures are rich, the land's rich, the cows, the cream, the butter that comes from the milk is just insanely round and delicious. That's why it's got that true golden colour. And again, we just want to be really origin prone with these ingredients and the way they come together. So 2 shallots in there, we've got a nice knob of butter, nice heaped tablespoon, that's sizzling away in there. And all we're looking to do is just to sweat down the shallots. Shallots are quite sweet anyway, they're not like a really raw, in-your-face kind of onion. That's why a lot of chefs like to use shallots. You start with a nice sweet foundation, and you can wilt them, and they're delicious, and they're not too ferocious or volatile on the palate. They just start to sing straight away. So 1 clove of garlic goes in, a little pinch of salt. Again, salt is an abrasive ingredient, so it draws moisture out of things. And again, you can see the heat. You don't want to burn the onions. A little bit of caramelization will work with the potatoes and be quite forgiving. I will take that down a little bit though. And then we want to go with some of our potatoes here. Now the key thing with Jerseys, and I've talked about this with many chefs before, is you don't want to wash all that skin off. You see people scrubbing Jerseys, you don't need to do that. One of the most beautiful things is getting that earthy flavour in there. Really important. So I like to get them under some lukewarm water in like a colander, like with fossicking for a little bit of gold or diamonds, and just move it around and let the potatoes rumble each other and take off the excess dirt. You will feel like, if you close your eyes and feel, like you've almost got a little bit of sand or grit on there. It's not really, it's just the skins, the way they flake. And that's good, that's where the flavour's at. The flavour of a potato is like skin on a chicken. It's where the flavour's at, so don't discard that or be overcautious with the cleaning side of it. Very pure lands. I can't say factually that it's chemical free, but I do know the produce we've got here is very well grown, and I feel quite comfortable giving them a nice little light wash. So I'm probably going in there 2 handfuls of potatoes. Probably had about 8-9 potatoes in there. And you kind of want about double the amount of potatoes to onion and garlic. Really, really beautiful. I'm just going to get that moving around. So, as you can hear, the sizzle, chef's favourite sound, means we're moving. The onions are just starting to catch a little bit, and again, quite forgiving. We've got a lot of flavour in there, a lot of depth, so it can handle it. Onions are soft, garlic soft, the rawness is gone. The butter's in there, slightly bourgeois in, which means a nice little nutty flavour. And now it's time for the real magic. Got a nice bottle of my favourite English sparkling wine here. So in true gentleman form, we're going to add some sparkling wine, good glass or two. Just move that off the heat because I don't want it to go too far. Just take all day doing this, like the old school Diet Coke advert. It's a really special moment, opening a nice bottle of wine. There we go, the sweet sound of a nice bottle opening. And that's how a gentleman's meant to open a bottle of sparkling wine. And my favourite part is to sample the goods. Look at that, golden, crisp, beautiful, almost similar colour if you're making a consommé out of the potatoes, I reckon. So chef's got to do what chef does best. Yeah, that's very nice. Just one more, just to check. Delicious. I'll save that for later. Then in we go. Nice high heat. Don't need to measure when it comes to the most delicious sparkling wines. Get that sizzle going. I'm sure Nye Timber really appreciate me using a great wine for great cooking. So great produce, don't be fooled by using cheap wine. Lots of people say that'll be great for cooking. I've got a bottle here that we haven't drunk because it's cheap. Don't do it. If you're using great ingredients, caviar, using great gold top, Jersey ingredients, ingredients of origin and pride, then go with some good alcohol as well, because that's a fundamental flavour that you're using. You don't want to take away any good bad other ingredients. It's got a great nose on there as well. Absolutely beautiful. We've got a nice glass in there now. We want that to simmer down and cook the alcohol out. It's really important. We're looking for that dry, crisp, sparkling wine with the fruit in there, but we don't want a raw alcohol taste. So really important just to reduce that minimum by half, if not take it down as much as you can. It's the flavour and the syrup that we want in there. So bring the heat up there. It shouldn't take too long. So we've now got our base for our velouté. And again, this is going to be on the base of the plate. Potatoes on top with our herb oil. It's going to be absolutely delicious. And this whole process should probably take, on a nice rolling heat, should take 4 to 5 minutes. And now we're ready, so that's come down to a nice little syrup. Now we're going to put, it looks like we're diluting the flavour, we're not, we're buying ourselves time so we can cook those potatoes. So we're going with about 250 grams of water. We're going to bring that up to the boil and we're going to cook it until it's tender on a low simmer. With the measurements that I've just said, as that comes down, it should be a nice consistency to blend and get a really nice potato soup that's quite velvety, delicious, and just really, really silky on the palate, and that's what we're looking for. So we'll leave the potatoes to cook there in the velouté, and then we'll come back to that shortly. So it's that magical moment now where we get to start to plate the dish, but this is a dish with a little bit of pizzazz, elegance, quintessentially English. It's got all those moments of specialness. So Rob, come and join me, because I'm quite the host. Come and step up into our kitchen and get your chops around this. It's like being down at the pub, isn't it? But a fancy one, maybe down in Battersea somewhere. So some English sparkling wine.
No LPR today, chef.
No, shall we? We'll get a bit carried away.
Cheers, Marcus.
Cheers.
That's good.
It is. It tastes beautiful. It's one of my favourites. Classic cuvee, really dry, beautiful with the dish as well. So, tried caviar before, my good friend?
Never.
Never?
Caviar virgin, chef.
Caviar virgin. So, always quite tricky to open. So there we go. So
Tell me a bit about this.
So we've got Cornish salted caviar. Give me a hand like this. Yep, closed fist. So this is how they do it. It's how the Russians have done it for years. Got to get a nice bit. And the reason you do this is because the salt on the back of your hand doesn't interfere with the caviar. So metal has a little bit of a reaction with it. So try. So it's all of it in one. Yeah, I'll do it.
Down the Gregory?
Yep, down the Gregory. So on the back, cheers. Delicate sea salt. And it's the saltiness of caviar. Getting carried away there, aren't we? Kissing the old hand. Really delicious. Exmoor caviar. You know, they've got
flavours in it, just hit the palate. It's unbelievable.
They do. And you know, caviar used to be caught wild in the Black Sea. The sturgeon was took to the almost brink of extinction. Right. So they farm it. Germany pioneered it as far as China. In England, Exmoor caviar have a place in the UK. They also work with other farms. There's a lot of science that goes into it. For the sustainability side of it, the protection of the fish, the future of caviar, and also enjoying it and, you know, raising, you know, animals and livestock these days is a sensitive situation, and so it should be. So a great product, raised in a great way, and it'll just
And you've got the other flavour, you've got the other ones here.
We have, yep, so we've got the smoked, and we've got the ossietra, and we've got the royal beluska. We'll crack into those later, because we need to plate this dish. So the caviar.
Carry on with this, chef.
You should indeed. I'm just going to plate this dish while you enjoy that wine. So what we've done is, these potatoes now, ocean-like. So again, just break those down. Look, you should be able to mush them with the back. That's how a potato's done, nice and tender. Try that. Ocean-like water, perfectly seasoned.
It's cooled down a little bit. Oh yeah. Oh.
There's nothing like
no
good
butter,
you get shallot and salad potatoes, new potatoes, but nothing comes close to that.
And you get the sea salt in it, you can...
Yeah, you can really taste it, can't you? Really delicious. So, to start the dish, that velouté, once it was cooked, as I explained, we just blended it up and made almost like a nice little potato velouté. So you got a nice little velouté there.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful, and we've finished that with a little bit of lemon, a little bit of sea salt, and a little bit of creme fraiche just to help it emulsify. So we're going to go straight onto the plate. Really, really beautiful. I just love that. Really silky. Silky is the right word. And again, playing with different textures from the potatoes, I really, really enjoy. You know, taking one ingredient and seeing how far can you stretch it. Just take that knife there.
So we're crisscrossing them. What's that for?
Well, I don't know. My grandma used to do it. She used to crisscross them and then pinch them from underneath.
Okay.
Give you a nice kind of...
Like a jacket potato.
Like a jacket potato. Let's place one there. And then let's place another one there. And just in case you're wondering, yeah, these are really hot. I'm just getting on with it. You might want to let them cool down a little bit. I just want to sit those in there like that. On with the creme fraiche. So classic kind of caviar garnish is creme fraiche, egg white, egg yellow, because it's salty and in the proteins. So proteins in fat, in milk, in cream, they all sit really well with the caviar as well and really eat well.
And you'd only do this dish with the jerseys, you wouldn't substitute it out with anything else?
No.
Save it for that time of the year, keep it special?
There's nothing like jerseys. I mean, look at this. You've got English caviar, English cream, English potatoes, English sparkling wine, a couple of English gents. Come on.
Quintessential, chef, quintessential.
What more do you need? Let me take one of these spoons here. So I've got a little oil here that I've made with a handful of dill, a handful of chive with an equal amount of oil. I've blanched it. I've blanched those herbs just to shock them and get that lovely flavour.
And you kept the colour in that as well, as you...
Yeah. It's really, really beautiful
Amazing.
dish. And then some nice little wisps of dill.
Still looking hot, chef. I can see the sting coming off of the top of that.
Yeah, and that's what you want, really beautiful. There's enough salt in there to carry. Nice little bit of lemon on there just to kind of cut through a little bit of that salt. So we've got leaf lemons because they're banging season at the minute down here at the market. And there you go, look at that. We've made a mess, but who cares? We've got
Beautiful.
caviar.
Let's look at the greens and
It's lovely, isn't it? So we've got here, the dish is Jersey rolls. We've used the mids here, absolute crown jewels. We've got some English caviar, dill and chive oil, with a perfect English sparkling wine, Jersey roll velouté. Boom, look at that. Should we get tasting?
one for you, chef. Get stuck in.
Let's get stuck in, Rob.
Gentleman first.
I'm gonna go straight in. Look at that caviar. Get some of that sauce on there, some of that herb oil. Oh, that makes little things happen in my head. Pop, pop, pop. Just going off, delicious. And the jerseys are there, aren't they? At the forefront of everything, Jersey, Jersey, Jersey.
That is singing.
Very special.
That is unbelievable. Ryan, again, amazing dish. Market chef, Ryan Stafford, County Supplies. Chef, you smashed it. Well done.